Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel if you're new here. Hi, come on in, my name is Millie and I post at least 3 times a week on a Monday, Wednesday and a Friday. Always cruelty free, usually drugstore affordable makeup reviews. However, for eyeshadow palettes I always go indie. I always go for an indie eyeshadow palette and there's so many new ones coming out at the minute. If you are interested in colourful, fun indie eyeshadow palettes, I highly recommend subscribing down below because today we are playing with the new ones from Blend Bunny. So these are the Blend Bunny and May Pang Flora and Fauna palettes. I'm playing with these ones today together. I'm going to get into some swatches, trying these out. I will be doing separate videos on the Flora and the Fauna if you're wanting that sort of content as well, with the palettes separately. There will be so much more around these palettes. I just know it because I am already very inspired by the colour story surrounding these ones. But I also have the Artitude Cosmetics, that one coming, the like bright colourful one, and I will be getting the Cosmic Beauty one. That one launches, it hasn't launched as I'm filming this, but I think as you're seeing this it will have launched. So I will also be getting that one. There are so many eyeshadow palettes coming out at the minute and I'm just feeling very excited about them, but these are the 2 that we are getting into today. So firstly is the Flora. So this is a 15 shade palette. This has got 5 shimmers. I assume they are just straight shimmers rather than anything duochromy, and then 10 mattes. I love this colour story. I just love these colours in both of these palettes. I love the ratio between mattes and shimmers. I'm very excited to try out these shimmers and obviously the mattes as well. But then we also have another all matte palette in the Fauna. I'm going to keep mixing this up throughout the whole video just so that you're aware because my brain is scrambled eggs at the minute. The Fauna, and this is a 20 shade all matte palette. And just look at this colour story. So I didn't actually ever get the original May Pang release, the Rotten palette. I never got that one, and I was deciding on it for a while and then it went out of stock, and then when it came back in stock I was like, you know what, I've lived this long without it, I don't need it. But it's one of those ones that's like, I did feel like I missed out on it, although I could still buy it now, but it's almost like that ship has sailed a little bit. So I'm very excited to get into this one. I will say, judging from the pictures that I have seen of the Rotten palette, this one does seem a little bit warmer, which is definitely more up my street. Definitely a little bit more, I think of it as this one being a little bit more sort of sepia toned and the Rotten being a little bit more cool toned, grey toned, a little bit more desaturated. And these definitely are desaturated, but they're still quite warm, which I very much enjoy. So that is the 2 palettes that we are getting into today, the Fauna and the Flora. Like I say, I know I'm going to get these mixed up throughout the whole video. You're just going to have to forgive me for that one. It is very hot. If you can hear my fan, no you can't, but I'm going to go off and get into some swatches. I will do one palette on one arm and one on the other so that we can see next to each other the colour stories. I will go off and do some swatches and I will be right back. Okay, so here are the 2 palettes all swatched out. On the top arm here with the shimmers on my hand up here, this is the Flora palette, and then on the bottom is the Fauna. So I don't necessarily feel like there is any crossover in the shades. I do feel like there are shades that are similar that could be worked together, but not anything that is an exact copy between the 2 palettes. So let's just focus on these shimmers from the Flora palette. They are beautifully smooth, but they have the tiniest little glitters in them. They really are very pretty shades, not necessarily like duochrome or multichrome or anything, but just really pretty smooth shimmers, which I do appreciate. Like, yeah, multichrome or duochrome is beautiful, but there is also something very beautiful about a beautiful smooth glitter like this. And then these are the matte shades. There is a lemon shade under here under my bracelets. So that is the Flora, and then here, oh, zoom back a little bit. This is the Fauna. So all of these are matte shades in this palette. So if I just zoom in a little bit closer. I'm very interested in obviously the mint and the baby blue. We've got like baby poop colours, we've got deep plums. I do feel like the shades in the Fauna, I'm very drawn to a lot of the shades in here. Obviously I wanted the Flora for the shimmers because these are incredible. I do feel like I am more drawn to the mattes in the Fauna. Just personal preference, and I do feel like these are definitely leaning more warm, like obviously all these ones. Like the grey tones, but overall I do feel like it's definitely leaning more, maybe the Flora is leaning a little bit more neutral, like there is a couple of warmer shades, but overall maybe it is a little bit more neutral. But the Fauna, I do feel like overall is leaning more warm, apart from like the mint and the baby blue that obviously I'm gonna pack all over my inner corner. So I have got the Beauty Bay eyeshadow primer all over the eyelid, and I think I'm mainly gonna go into the Fauna palette for the matte shades, and then obviously I will do a beautiful shimmer from the Flora. So I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush into, I'm not going to be able to say any of these names. I'm going to butcher them. I'm going to go into this one here, which is Biochoro. This nice warm peachy shade that I'm definitely saying wrong, and I'm going to put that on the inner part of the crease, like above the inner part of the crease, with this fluffy brush. If you haven't used the Blend Bunny like matte formula, I think it's phenomenal. Honestly, it's the perfect amount of pigmented so you get a good amount of colour payoff, but not too pigmented that it's difficult to use. It's a very easy to use formula. I find it very sort of buildable, but also blendable, if that makes sense. Like, it is a very beautiful formula. And the shimmers, I mean the shimmers are beautiful as well, but I'm particularly interested in the mattes here. I do love an all matte palette. Obviously I'm a magpie and I love a glitter, I love a shimmery look, but I really genuinely love an all matte look. I think there's something very classy about an all matte look, and clearly I am a classy lady. Okay, so that is that first sort of corally peachy shade on the inner part of the crease. I'm going to go into this slightly lighter, more of a skin tone on me truly, and this one is called Calla, and I'm just going to use the same brush and I'm going to buff over the top edge. This is near enough the same colour as my skin, which is very useful for blending things out. So just going over the top edge of that first shade just to soften it out a little bit, blend it up into my brows a little something like that, just a little blend. And then I'm going to take a smaller, more dense brush. This is stained and that is none of your business. I have wiped it off on a microfiber cloth and it still looks green, but that's fine. I'm going to go into this brighter, what sort of shade would you say that is? It's like a green mustardy shade called Bilis? I'm going to say these wrong. You need to forgive me. I'm trying my best. And I'm going to put that further out, sort of still above the crease a little bit. I don't know what my plan is also, in case you're wondering. I don't know what the plan is. The plan is to create a fun, colourful look. Come along for the ride if you would like. We are figuring this out together. It's a team effort. I always like to think when I'm doing these videos, what do people want to see? And that's what I try and do. So it is a team effort, even though I'm filming this like 3 days before you're seeing it. And that is the thought process that goes through my head whenever I'm filming. Honestly, whenever I'm filming anything. Like, what would be entertaining? Me rambling to the camera for 55 minutes and then trying to edit it. Stop talking, Millie, because you're gonna get sick of yourself while you're editing this. So I have blended that shade out, but I have intensified it like right into the crease. I'm gonna stick with this same brush and I'm gonna go into this shade here, which is called Grala, question mark, and I'm going to put that further into the crease. So this is, it's still a green, but it's a little bit more of like a mossy green. A little bit deeper. Gonna start adding some depth right into the crease, and I won't take this quite as far along, keep it more on the outer corner. And then I'm just going back in with that peachy shade just to blend all of that together above the crease. I think I'm quite happy with how those are looking. So we're getting a little bit of depth right into the crease, but with those beautiful green shades. I love green. In case you are new here, I love green, so I'm very, very excited. Very excited about this palette. I'm gonna stick with the Fauna and I'm going to go into this shade, which is called Ravine, and again this is an even darker green. This is probably, yeah, this is as dark as I'm gonna go. There are lots of dark options. There's a black in the Flora palette that is like one of the most intense blacks I have ever seen. That was like one swipe, but there's some lovely like rich browns and like plummy shades as well, which I just love, especially with greens. I think that they go together so beautifully. So maybe for another day. Obviously I can't do too many colours all at once. I do want to try and create something a little bit cohesive, and like I say, I will be doing loads more content with these palettes. I will use them both separately and do more like detailed swatches in separate videos. I will also be doing eyeshadow palette bingos with both of these. I will probably be doing 3 looks with. You will see so much more content around these. I do definitely like to create a lot of content around the indie palettes that I get, so that if you are trying to decide if you want them or if you're trying to dupe them in your collection, to see them in so many different ways, just to try and give you a little bit of inspiration. I do try to use palettes in lots of videos, so if there is anything in particular that you'd like to see, any colour combinations, anything like that, do let me know, because I can absolutely do that. But there will be so much more content around these. Like I say, I'm feeling very inspired by all of the indie palettes that are coming out at the minute. I do feel like this is probably one of the more neutral ones that I am reviewing at the minute, because like I say, I'm getting the Artitude one and I'm getting the Cosmic one, and they are both like bright sort of sunshine palettes, and these definitely are more on the neutral side, but I enjoy a neutral eye look. I'm going to try and create something more colourful today, but I do enjoy more of like a colourful, a colourful take on a neutral palette. I very, very much enjoy. So I have just gone back in with a little bit more of that first green, that like brighter one. This one here, which was called Billis. I have just gone in with a little bit more of that just to soften out that darker green. And let's think about what shimmer I want. I mean, apart from all of them, what shimmer am I thinking? I'm thinking maybe this 4th one down, which was called Anthurium? Anthrumium. So many question marks. So many question marks. So am I ready for a shimmer? Answers on a postcard. Am I ready for a shimmer? I feel like I can't go back. I mean, I can, but I feel like can't go back in with a matte when I apply a shimmer. Does anyone else feel like that? I will just go in and add a little bit more of that first peachy shade because I want that to be very, very bright. Right in there. Biotro. I know I'm going to get comments saying, why didn't you Google how to say the names? Because there's 35 shades here. And also, do you think that information is going to stay in my head? Because I could not tell you what day it is, let alone how to say all of these shades. Let me be dumb, okay? Please, just let me be dumb. So, I'm just adding a bit more of this peachy shade, the first one that I started with, into the inner part of the crease, and let's blend that. And then you know what, let's just do it. I'm gonna go into this hand. I'm gonna go into Anthrumium. I'm sorry if you are like what would you be, like a biologist? No, because that's the body. Geologist? A florist? I'm sorry if I'm getting these wrong and it's upsetting you. I am sorry. I'm trying my best. So I've got that shade on my finger there, and I'm just going to pack this all over the lid. I might actually add more of that green to blend into that shimmer. It is very, very pretty. Very pretty indeed, and I'm just gonna sort of tap that all over everything. That is a very pretty shimmery shade. It's such fine little bits of glitter. It's not like, it's chunky, you can see the bits of glitter, but they're all really small, so it's really sort of delicate glitters. Delicate isn't usually a word that I use to describe anything that I'm doing. Bull in a china shop is more like it, but I do very, very much enjoy this shimmer. I'm just going to take more of a little like pencil brush and just go into that same shimmer so that I can put it a little bit further in on the eyelid, and also just use that brush to scatter those little shimmers upwards and basically over everything, because I'm a magpie. I love a glitter. I love a glitter like up above the crease so that you can see it. You can really see it like catching the light when my eyes are open. I do think that that is an exceptionally pretty shimmer. So now what am I thinking? This is just looking so pretty. I'm going back in with that smaller brush that I was using for the greens. I'm going to go in with that mid green, this one here, which is called Gralar, and I'm going to add a bit of that across the lid just to blend out that shimmer further out. I don't like taking my shimmer too far out because I like the outer corner to stay matte, but just tapping a bit more of that green because it's a beautiful warm green and it will just blend those shimmers into those darker shades. Add a little bit more depth, but like I just very, very much enjoy the tone of this one. There are so many shades here that I would consider just like one and done, like to pack across the lid and add a wing, obviously, and call it a day. So many shades that I would do that with. These matte shades, they are very, very beautiful. So I think I'm done with the lid. I think I'm happy. Everything is blended together beautifully. I love the gradient from the warm greens into the peach with that shimmer across the lid. I'm very, very happy with how this is looking. So I'm going to go ahead, clean up under the eyes, do the rest of my face, and then we can do something nice and smoky under the eye and pack probably that mint green but maybe the blue. I don't know, either the mint green or the bright baby blue right onto the inner corner because of course. But let me go ahead and clean this up, do the rest of my face, and I will be right back. Okay, so the rest of the face done, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I wanted my blush to match, and I was like, what have I got in my collection that matches? I have just used that peachy shade, like squeezed my blush brush so that it would fit into that pan, and I have used that same shade. I do like doing this. I do this quite regularly so that the blush just feels really cohesive with whatever it is that I've got on my eyes. And I obviously love a peachy blush at the best of times. So that is everything that I have done. Let's go ahead and do, what do I want to do under the eyes? I'm thinking maybe, I feel like I should use some of the other shades. So let's go in with, let's just use the same small brush, and I will go in with this darker, what shade is it? It's this one here, which is Castoria, which is more of like a darker brown. And I will run that along the lower lash line, all the way along, but just right next to the lashes, just to smoke that out. And I sharpened up on the outer corner with a bit of micellar water, but I will just soften that down a little bit now that I've done everything else out there. I don't want it to be too sharp. And you know what, I don't even necessarily feel like I need a wing. If you've been here before you know the problems that I have doing a look without a wing, but I don't feel like I need it. I feel like this is already looking sort of dark enough on the outer corner and also lifted. I don't feel like I need a wing. Is this growth? Is this what it is like to be an adult? To not do the same thing that you always do? Maybe. I mean, I'm going to do a blue inner corner, so that's something, but maybe not a wing. So that is just that one darker brown shade, Castoria, from the Fauna palette. I think I'm going to go in with, let's go in with a little bit of this shade here from the Flora palette, which is Kaya. And it's just a little bit lighter, a little bit warmer. And I'm going to buff that really lightly, just with the same small brush, really lightly over the edges of that darker brown shade. I really enjoy a nice smoky under eye, and I do feel like that will really make the blue that we're inevitably going to put on the inner corner, I do feel like a nice smoky under eye with a bright pop on the inner corner. It is a staple for me. So I think I am happy with those warmer brown shades under the eye. I'm going to just take a little bit of the Beauty Bay eye primer in the shade 1, which is the bright white shade, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on the inner corner, blend it out, and then we can decide if I want the mint or the blue. I think I want the blue. I think I want this blue shade here right on the inner corner, but I want a white eyeshadow primer just to really keep it nice and tight on the inner corner and to really make it pop. So I'm just tapping that eyeshadow primer in with quite a big fluffy brush because I just want to sort of press it into the skin. Then I'm going to take a little pencil brush and I'm going to go into that blue, which is called Placoid, and I'm going to take that on the pencil brush. I'm not going to tap the brush off because I still want a lot of pigment on there, but I'm just going to give it a little shake so that there isn't too much fallout on there. And I'm going to tap that over that white eyeshadow primer, and hopefully that will grab onto that pigment and really intensify it right in the inner corner. Tell me that a bright blue inner corner isn't the answer to all of the world's problems. It is. It just is. I love it. See, and now I feel like because I have that brightness right on the inner corner, and I love contrast in a look. Now I feel like I need something a little bit darker on the outer corner. That's fine. We can add more depth right onto the outer corner. So I'll go back in with that small brush that I was just using for those brown shades under the eye, and I will go in with Pro Kion, the darkest like plum shade. I'm going to take one like tiny little dot of that, and actually I will just stamp that brush into my mirror so that I'm really working that pigment into the bristles, just so that I don't get too much. And I will use a very small amount of that right on the very outer corner, sort of getting the top and bottom like lash line all at the same time, just adding a little bit of depth. Like I'm barely even touching my skin. I'm using the lightest amount of pressure and the lightest amount of pigment. See the depth there? That's just a little bit of something compared to that side. And I also very much enjoy this sort of plummy shade. And now I do think I am done. Once I've done the other side, of course. Let's try and keep myself somewhat even. Yeah, I really enjoy that sort of plummy, almost like a burgundy rich shade right on the outer corner, going into the greens, going into the peaches, going into that incredible blue. I think I just want a little bit more. See, every time I'm adding something, I'm like, I want a little bit more of that peach. I'm just going in with a little bit more of that. Honestly, I just want that like right up to the brow bone. Obviously I put like concealer and stuff in there, so I will have lost some of it in my defense. I will have covered over some of that with my concealer, so let's just add a little bit more of that peachy shade, and then we really are done. How many times can I say and then we are done and then go on to add more? We really are done now. I'm going to go ahead and add some mascara. I will use the Primark mascara that I've just been loving, the Black Volume one. I'll add a good healthy coat of mascara, and then we really are done. I think it's time to retire this mascara, you know, when it starts to get just a little bit too clumpy. I love a clumpy mascara, but I fear this one is now past its best. I'll pop that into my empties, but that is the finished look. I'm thrilled. I am thrilled with it. Honestly, anything that has these warm tones and also that beautiful pastel for a pop on the inner corner, I am sold. I love this look. I love the variety. Like, you could do a full green look, you could do a full pink look, you could do something really sort of grungy and grey and like very dark. You could do something like a lot lighter and more sort of ethereal looking with like the shimmers and some of the more peachy shades. I feel like there is a lot of variety in this palette or these palettes and this colour story. I am very excited to keep on playing with this one. I'm honestly thrilled with how this has turned out. This is definitely a very sort of comfortable look for me. I feel so much more comfortable in this than I would ever feel in sort of like a grey or a black smoky eye, something like that. I just don't love on myself. I don't know if it's my colouring or what. I just don't really like grey and black on me. I love colours and I love like vibrant colours, and I do feel like this palette has that, but in a more grounded sort of way, if that makes sense. So I would love to hear what you think of the look. I would love to hear what you think of the palettes and the swatches, whatever thoughts you have got. I'd love to hear them down below. But that is everything for today. I don't know what's going on with my hair. How have I got a loop-de-loop in my hair? But yeah, I would absolutely love to hear whatever thoughts you have got. Obviously these are very much companion palettes. They very much do go together, but I do also feel like they absolutely stand up completely by themselves, and I'm excited to try these separately too, specifically the Flora, because I only use like the shimmer and then one sort of transition tone under the eye. I only use 2 shades out of that palette. I did definitely focus more on the Fauna to like create the look and create the shape today, but I would love to hear if you have picked either of these up. I would love to hear whatever thoughts you have got, what colours you are enjoying putting together. I definitely want to, I know May posted on her Instagram like colour combinations that she enjoys wearing together. I know she very much enjoys wearing just like 2 contrasting colours together in one look. I love that sort of thing just for an everyday. Obviously this is a little bit more complex. I tried to use as many shades as possible, but using like 2 tones together is definitely something that I enjoy doing just on an everyday, so I will definitely be doing more of that going forwards. But that is everything for today. I have very, very much enjoyed playing with these palettes. I would love to hear whatever thoughts you have got as well, but until next time, thank you ever so much for watching. Bye bye.